that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about conflict resolution. Trying to resolve conflicts that can be as simple as who took whose off, or can actually be much worse than that and be a conflict within a workplace that causes a great deal of conflict, emotion, energy, time down, people not wanting to work with other people. It just turns into a mess. And so we need to learn how to deal with conflict. One of the greatest things that we need to know is that conflict is always going to exist, and not all conflict is bad. Conflict can help a team to grow and help ideas be formed, make things seem new. But conflict can also tear down and destroy. It can be a cancer within your team. When we add to our development and our roles and our positions, we need to have toolkits, skills in those toolkits that make us more professional, that make us a better person. As we grow those in our role, we'll also grow as a person and learn how to deal with conflict in family life, in work life, and in every other way. But we need to learn to make conflict resolution a priority. And to do that, we need to learn that it is more important to resolve the conflict than it is to win, or than it is to be right. And that's where we have to learn to build our self-esteem to a point where we are able to not always be right or not to always win and still maintain who we are. There is an entire website. If you actually Google conflict resolution, there are over 3 million hits for that. But the one website that I found most helpful was actually Conflict Resolution Network. And it is a British website. The web address is www.crnhq.org. So it is the Conflict Resolution Network headquarters that gives you the skill set that I'm going to go over today. There are actually 12 skills that it considers very important in learning how to deal with conflict. So let's look at those 12 skills that we all want to have in our skill set. The first one is the win-win approach. That's the easy one, and that's one that we all know about. That is, when we walk away from that conflict, everybody will feel like a winner. We have, each person has a feel that they won. They had a side in this, and both of them won. And it is the one that is sometimes the hardest one to come up with. In this situation that we just had, it would be easy. Both of them would win if one of them could take an O off and the other one was happy just with another toy. Nana could give them a toy and then take them and let them play together with their two toys. Win-win approach. Sometimes it's real simple. Sometimes it's not so simple. Another skill is the creative response. And that is when we turn winners and losers to winners and learners. We don't always have to feel that a conflict is something that will tear us down. It can also be an opportunity to learn. And that's where we take that creative response. We learn from that response. We're able to use that in other situations. And so that makes a great tool in our skill set. Another one is empathy. Empathy is actually the act of being a listener, to learning how the other person feels and feeling for them, to actually look at them with an understanding and listen to their feelings of the matter, let them explain where they're coming from, and that makes us a much better listener and makes us empathetic. This is a great communication tool in all settings. The fourth skill is appropriate assertiveness. You know, we're told a lot of times not to use an I statement, that I statements can actually inflame the situation. But sometimes it is very important that we use I statements. When it comes to a point that someone is hurting you physically or hurting you emotionally, or if you're feeling a great deal of anger from a situation, then sometimes you need to clarify, not to attack the person, but to explain how you are feeling and what the situation, the response that you have to the situation. Number 5 is the cooperative power. This is a really neat one because it eliminates that power over. So many of us have had managers who only knew how to manage by powering over someone and not powering with them, not giving them the opportunity to add solutions, to feel some worth because their opinion is being heard. It is a way to move to the positive with each person of the team having value. The 6th one is managing emotions, and this one is hard. A lot of times our emotions get away with us, but we need to learn how to take that fear or that anger or that frustration or hurt and not to internalize that and not to actually feel as we are being attacked, but using that to affect change in the situation. And a lot of times that fear, that hurt, or that anger, if it's expressed in a negative way, can only tear down. If we can learn to channel and use it wisely, we'll see a much better development of the situation and the resolution to those conflicts. Number 7 is a willingness to resolve. This one, you have to learn whether this situation causes you to be inflamed or whether it causes you to be informed. And that is a really cool way that our personal issues sometimes cloud the situation and we're not able to really see what's going on. So we take those situations and we ask ourselves, does this situation inflame me? And why does it inflame me? What can I learn about myself from this situation? Why am I getting so upset? Sometimes those are the questions that you need to ask yourself so that you can become more informed. Number 8 is mapping the conflict. Now, I didn't have a clue what this one meant until I actually looked up the tool. They have a tool on this website that teaches you how to map out your conflict. You and the person that you're having the conflict with work together and identify the conflict itself. What parties are affected by the conflict? Who are the players within this conflict? What are the feelings that are happening in this conflict? And because of those, identifying those situations, actually mapping them out on a tool, it gives you some clarity as you look with the person you're having a conflict with at the conflict. Sometimes it's as easy as doing this and making it more clear to leading you to a solution. Number 9 is the development of options. Seems very simple, sometimes not so hard to do. Sometimes when you work together, by working together, you can find options that are very creative. You can use the energy of 2 people to develop a list of options that sound a whole lot better than the only one that you're thinking or the only one that they're thinking. Number 10 is to have an introduction to negotiation. Actually plan for a strategy and then apply that strategy to reach an agreement. Sometimes when you negotiate, if you can do this, then I can do that. Or if you'll do this for me, then I'll do this for you. It's a matter of who's scratching who's back. It can be that simple. And then number 11 is an introduction to mediation. Sometimes it requires a third party. That third party who has some clarity. That third party who doesn't have a feeling in this, doesn't have a dog in this fight. Sometimes doing it that way, you can work towards a solution much easier when you have those conflicting parties meeting at the table with this third party mediator. And the last one is broadening our perspectives. Sometimes we get very caught up in our own worldview. You know, we live in the Bible Belt. We live in the South. We're Southern Belles. All these things that have become our worldview for our entire lives limit us to some of the opportunities to grow. Sometimes we need to actually open our minds, respect and value the differences of different people, and then listen and learn and grow. And sometimes that's all it takes to resolve a conflict. Sometimes we need to be open to the idea of changing. And that's not always an easy thing. But even more than changing, sometimes we need to be called out to be risk takers. And by looking at our perspective and the perspective of others, we can learn to take those risks. We can't always use all 12 of those skills. They don't fit every situation, but every situation can fit in one of those categories at least. So you take your conflict and you apply your skill set that you have from those 12 skills, and then you work to resolve the conflict. You'll find yourself much more at peace with yourself and with others if your life is not constantly living in conflict. Thank you.